Thomas Essen says, you've mentioned that you maintain an inventory of your costumes and costume pieces. Do you maintain other such general inventory lists, props, tools, supplies? What metadata information do you find useful to include? I have just started this process, and it's going to be a long one, but the goal is, if I died, there's information about everything. I mean, there's pieces in here that are absolutely priceless, sitting right next to things that are completely worthless. And I am the only repository of knowledge about most of this stuff. So actually the other day, a lot of my favorite objects go from here in the cave to my office at home. And it's sort of a revolving inventory of stuff. And I curate it. So I sat in my room a few weeks ago. I sat in my office a few weeks ago, and I looked around and I was like, yeah, there's about 40 objects in here that are some of the best stuff I have. So I just sat down and opened up an Evernote document and listed out what it is, what its dimensions are, what it's made of, where I got it, how I got it, how much I spent for it, how I've modified it over the years, whether I think it's totally accurate or whether I want another one. All of those questions. It's not an Excel spreadsheet. It should be, but it's not. Not yet. That is the goal. The goal is to do that with all of this, but I'm in the process of a massive reorganization in here. The pool table is about to disappear. And in its place will go a conference table and a workspace, and I may move all of my hardware from here in the actual shop part of the cave to outside the bathroom of the cave. So when I need to go shopping, I go over there, but here's where all the tools are. And I'm very excited about this. I don't know how it's gonna go. It's gonna be a shit fight in the middle. I'm gonna hate it. There's nothing I like less than deorganizing everything in order to reorganize it. It is, it's like, deorganizing stuff is like walking downhill to school knowing you're going to have to walk uphill to get home. That's what it's like. And I'm a person who likes to do the hard stuff on the front end, but organization, the hard stuff's always on the back end. Let's see here. Elliot Thomas, has there ever been a material or part you've decided to throw away only to find that you needed it later on? Oh my God, I will tell you, there's this stainless steel foot measuring device that I picked up at a garage sale for like $1 20 years ago. And I love the way it looks. It's like a little angle plate with measurements on it and a little moving shoe, not a shoe, but like a little moving thing for measuring the size of your foot. And it's old and it's hard to tell what the hell it's for when you look at it, which is one of my favorite things about objects. I love things of a clear utility, a clear but indecipherable utility. So this shoe measurer, it floated around the cave forever. And forever it's been over here in the first order retrievable zone. I don't know why, but it's sort of like that's where I always kind of knew it was. And then recently, I actually needed to measure my foot. And I found one part of it, but not the other. And I'm like, 20 years this thing's been floating around. I cannot believe I only have one part. I must have lost the other part. So I threw out, I sat with it for about 2 weeks and then I was like, not gonna find it. I looked everywhere, I threw it out. A week later, found the other part. Classic. I don't take any lesson from that except that shit happens. Scoundrel wants to know, after years of fine-tuning your shop, do you more often find yourself being inspired by an organizational device or process that sparks a new desire, or observing an issue or a mess that warrants a new implementation? It's usually the latter at this point. I mean, so I talked at this at my favorite things. I watched Stefan Gottsewinter. His YouTube channel is wonderful. And a deep dive into precision and accuracy. But I look at his walls and I'm like, I have no idea how he organizes stuff. I don't know how, it doesn't look like there's enough stuff in the space for him to organize. Like, I'm mystified by it. It just seems there's just not enough things in there. So for me, yeah, who else have I watched that has, I mean, I watch woodworkers and I see woodworking shops where they have, all the hand tools on a wall, all really tight. I love that. That's never, I know, and that's a version of first order retrievability, a very carpentry version of first order retrievability that I have tended not to do. Just because that's not my, what do you call it? It's not the apex of my skill set. First order retrievability I have here demonstrates the apex of my skill set, which is like, the things that I use, the Forster bits, the Bondhus T-handled Allen wrenches, the Weha situation. So usually, yeah. So I look at a thing and I look at a mess and I think I've got to deal with this. So I recently finished a special machine tools cabinet. And I did that because as I've been chasing zeros on the mill and getting more and more refined, I've been noticing that my tools are often covered with gunk because they sit out. So then I'm having to clean a tool before I use it every single time I use it. So this came up yesterday. I was trying to do some repeatable work on the lathe. Oh, wait, one more thing. I was trying to do some repetitive work on the lathe, and I was using a E32 collet. That's what this is. And this takes these beautiful collets here, and they go in here, and you screw them in, and they'll hold work really, really tightly, but also gently. They won't mar the work that you hold in them. And these ER collets, this is a ER32. I also have a ER11. And these were just sitting out in front of my lathe like this and just covered with gunk. And that gunk has a dimension, and that dimension was throwing off the concentricity of stuff I was trying to chuck into the lathe. So I made a cover for it so that it doesn't get dust all over it. I still have to put a surround on this. I literally did this yesterday afternoon. Oh, also, here's me being dumb. So I had this stand, and I thought, let me put some sides on this stand. And so I put some sides on the stand, but I did not check whether the sides on the stand actually cover the collets themselves, and they don't. So I'm going to have to rebuild this because I didn't pay attention to one of the most critical measurements until I was done building the thing. Yeah. But this solution was informed by the mess that I was currently dealing with. That is absolutely the most primary way I learn new ways of organization or work towards implementing a new method of organization. I've been creeping towards a airbrush station for a long time. And I think I finally have the pieces of it that I need and also the philosophy of it that I'm about to implement. Because what I want is a little airbrush station that I can move around, but also that sucks air out of it. Because I don't like, when I'm doing refined airbrush and stuff, I don't want to use a mask. I need to get in there and stuff like that. I don't want to sit there. It drives me nuts. So I've got some filters. I found a beautiful inline 4-inch fan that's absolutely silent. We'll cover it in a build. I won't build it without showing you. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.